I work in D.C. I worked on the Hill for a long time, and I just became a lobbyist, so I'm not used to talking about myself. I'm used to talking about a lot of other things, so this is a little awkward for me, but it was such an honor to be asked to come here today, and the reason I said yes was because I wanted the opportunity to thank people like you who are the reason that I'm alive, the two doctors who made that possible, my uncle who made the phone calls to get me that appointment really quickly, and my family and friends who love me through it. But the other reason I'm here is I'm here on behalf of the people who couldn't be here. And as I'm speaking today, that is the main thing that I want to kind of get across, is that you guys don't see me because I'm fine. I'm very grateful to be fine, but there are a lot of people in my life that I've gotten to know that would like to be standing here instead of me, and would probably do a lot better job speaking. These are the people that need your help and need my help desperately. There is a disease in this country that is stealing husbands from their wives, wives from their children, and children from their futures. And I know that you guys care about that like I do. And I know that you want to stop these stories from ending just as badly as I do, but it is going to take some work. In some ways, the 2 years since my surgery have flown by, and in some ways I look back and it seems like the longest part of my 34 years on this earth. As any of you have ever been touched by cancer know, they can tell you it's over, but it's never really over. I'm scanned constantly. Every time I don't feel well, every single person in DC wants to check my remaining kidney levels. Every time anything goes wrong, people get, kind of nervous. My energy level has never come totally back, even though I am a little high energy anyway, so I guess I just cover up for it. The things that you used to think were so important suddenly become so incredibly trivial. And most importantly, when you learn of someone else who has heard the same news as you, your entire world stops. I've become very, very involved in the kidney cancer community, mainly because unlike other cancers, and you know what I'm talking about, giant pink ribbons everywhere, kidney cancer is terribly underfunded and incredibly misunderstood. Cancer deaths, thank God, are on the decline, but kidney cancer deaths are on the rise. And this is where all of you guys come in, because we have an opportunity to really stop this trajectory. Unlike a lot of other hospitals, like we talked about today, UNC Lineberger and UNC hospitals have a research arm. We have the capacity to find things that others can't, to find things that others haven't. You as supporters, all of you can play an incredible role in changing everyone's story. When I was with Dr. Wallen the day that we met, I asked him, so what are you going to do with my tumor? And he was like, actually, I'm really glad you asked. And he proceeded to hand me all this paperwork and said that I could actually sign it over and leave it. Well, obviously, I couldn't sign that paperwork fast enough. And I thought to myself, I wonder why everybody doesn't sign these exact same forms. There's a family back in DC I've become very, very close with, the Battle family, Chris, Dina, and their two very young children. Chris's story was exactly the same as mine. Same hospital, same ER visit in the same middle of the night scenario, same scans, same report, same surgery. Our story was exactly the same until it wasn't. His doctor didn't do a follow-up scan properly. He was only doing an x-ray, which unfortunately will not catch mets on your lungs until they're at a certain size. You need to do either a CT scan with contrast or an MRI. So it wasn't until his wife had this inkling that something wasn't right, fought and fought and fought. 6 months later, they did a CT scan to find that his lungs were covered in mess. And in short, Chris was essentially dying. But because of the network in this kidney cancer community, they were able to research doctors and drugs and trials, and they tried just about everything over the last 3 years, and nothing worked. Before Christmas this year, he was on oxygen. He weighed 100 pounds. His little girls could barely look at him. He couldn't walk down the hall without having to stop and take deep breaths. But all that changed about a month ago. There's a new drug nicknamed Cabo. Gives you kind of nice pictures of Mexico. And his doctor, we actually have the same doctor that follows us up in Hopkins in Baltimore. His doctor said, we need 2.5 weeks before this is on the market and we can get it to you, but Chris, I'm not sure you're going to live that long. And thanks to a number of really amazing people in DC and one phenomenal drug manufacturer, they delivered it to Chris before it was actually on the market. And Chris is alive, and for the first time in 3 years, his mets are shrinking. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how long Cabo will actually do the trick. But I met with his wife, Dina, just a couple of weeks ago to do what we love to do, which is have coffee, food, and talk about kidney cancer. We like to talk about what we can do to change things. We like to talk about how Chris is doing. Their biggest priority, other than saving his life, is to save others. And we want to start a foundation to help fund kidney cancer research, like the research that's happening right here at Carolina, right here in this town on my little tumor that I happily left behind in the lab. And if any of you guys have ever struggled with cancer, you know that the key is faith and laughter. So on that note, we named my tumor Travum, after 2 ex-boyfriends. We thought it worked. I mean, who doesn't want that cut out of you? It was really easy. So I often wonder how old Travum is doing. I think of him stuck in a lab, listening to the bell tower toll, and I think to myself, maybe he's going to help stop this killer. And maybe we can help, and maybe you guys can too. Dina and I want to call our foundation Dance with Dads. The first time she ever said the words to me, I burst into tears. Kidney cancer actually affects men much more often than it affects women. And there is nothing on this earth I want to do more than to make sure Chris Battle dances with both of his daughters at both of their weddings. I'm going to be dancing with my own dad in 2 months at my own wedding. I'd like to say that I pictured my life a little differently. At age 34, I thought I'd be married with a couple children, and instead I'm technically single and I'm down the kidney. But that's okay. It's not for long. I found a man who attends every one of my scan appointments, and he is totally unfazed by the uncertainty of my health. He loves me and my one kidney with a sincerity and a loyalty I never thought I would find. And a few months ago, he offered me a ring and a promise for the future, and he promised never to leave, no matter what the scans say. So I'm alive today, because God's hand led me here, because of my uncle who got me in, because of Dr. Wallen, Dr. Rayner, the nurses, and because of every single one of you who supports this place and this institution. Because of all of you, I'm going to dance with my dad the day I wear white in 2 months. And it is my greatest prayer that we can all come together and continue to ensure that more and more patients, no matter what cancer they're fighting, can dance. One day we can celebrate that this disease has been robbed of its power to steal husbands from their wives, mothers from their children, children from their future, and dads from dancing with their daughters. Like I said, we can stop these stories from ending, but it's going to take some work. Thank you so much for having me. This has been an enormous honor. God bless you all, and go Tar Heels.